Have you noticed how the cost of renting a place to live in America has been changing this year? Some recent reports disagree with the idea that the increase in rent prices is slowing down. According to surveys done by the Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies and Freddie Mac, about 2/3 of households in the U.S. saw their rent prices go up in 2023. In the first 3 months of the year, 1 out of every 10 people reported that their rent increased by over 25%. These higher housing costs are causing problems for people in paying their rent and even getting evicted from their homes. In fact, the number of eviction filings is now 50% higher than it was in 2019. Over 8 million renters might lose their homes this month. This could be the beginning of a very difficult situation for families in America. But what created this situation? How are people in the U.S. affected by this? Join us in this video as we're going to discuss this in detail. Rent prices are going up all over the U.S., affecting both big cities and more rural areas. Cities like Austin, Texas are seeing a particularly big increase in rent. During the pandemic, brief rent reductions were short-lived. Affordable housing is scarce, with newer buildings catering to the wealthy. Rent rises surpass income growth, a long-standing issue. For example, the cost of renting a one-bedroom apartment in Gilbert, Arizona, went up by more than 81% in just 1 year. Renting a single-family home is also getting more expensive faster than it has in a long time. As of June 2019, the national median price for a one-bedroom apartment was $1,216. Now, the national median rent price is $2,029. It's a big increase of 67.6% in just 4 years. In the last year alone, rents have gone up by 26%. This is a big problem because there aren't enough affordable homes and many American families are struggling to pay rent and might even be at risk of losing their homes. A senior research associate at the Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies, Daniel McHugh, notes that housing costs remain much higher post-pandemic, rising significantly in recent years. A study shows 60% of U.S. households have experienced rent hikes since January, with 17% facing multiple increases. This results in some families paying $400 extra monthly compared to last year, affecting around 4.4 million households. Many are concerned about future increases, with over half expecting to reduce expenses for rent and a third fearing financial issues if a 10% rise occurs this year. According to a survey by Freddie Mac, only 38% of renters received a raise in pay, and 33% feel their raise won't cover increased rent. The June survey explored the impact of rising prices on housing decisions. About 1 in 5 individuals facing higher rent might struggle to pay. In the U.S., housing costs are outpacing income growth. Moody's reported that in 2022, rent consumed 30% of average household income, the highest in 25 years, leading to excessive rent-to-income ratios. Freddie Mac data highlights that over 21 million families spend over 30% of their income on rent, with nearly 19% allocating half their income to rent. As rent and healthcare expenses rise while income stagnates, life becomes more challenging for many families. Several factors contribute to this situation. Post-pandemic, corporate migrations boosted smaller cities and rent prices. The issue traces back to the 2008 economic crash. Stringent regulations, material and labor shortages, plus immigration and banking law changes hinder new housing construction. Post-2008 crash, fewer homes were constructed in the 2010s, limiting rentals notably in sought-after locales. Pre-pandemic, youth favored urban renting due to high home costs. Pandemic affected densely populated cities. Remote work swelled smaller cities like Phoenix and Austin, hiking prices. Even in the cheaper areas, the rent is rising due to the limited supply of empty homes. Builders are constructing more single-family houses to meet pandemic demand. Some places cap rent hikes, Oregon, New York City, San Francisco, DC, but this might hinder housing growth, per some experts. Higher rent prices aren't just affecting jobs, there's a high chance of people losing their homes. As rent prices rise, it affects the economy as a whole. Families with tight budgets might struggle even more in the third and fourth quarters of the year when rental demand goes up. Because there aren't many available rental homes, Americans might have to spend less money, which could cause problems for businesses that sell things. In July, rent prices went up less for the fifth month in a row after a small decrease in February. A report from Rent.com says this will continue until late 2023 as courts catch up. Eviction cases and landlords tell tenants who haven't paid their rent to leave. According to a survey by Freddie Mac, 96% of households saw prices go up in the past year. As of August 2023, the typical rent in the country is $2,029, the highest it's been since August 2022. Over 2 years, the average weekly rent went up by $275. Even during the busiest rental time of the year, prices are still going up this year. Notably, South Dakota and Mississippi saw the biggest rent increases compared to the year before at 27%. Iowa was next at 16%, followed by North Dakota and New York at 12%, and Arkansas at 11%. Of the 50 biggest cities, California has the most places with the highest rent increases. 3 California cities are in the top 10 for the biggest increases in a single month, with San Jose at almost 9.5%. Rents in Los Angeles and Santiago also went up by more than 5%. Freddie Mac's Kevin Palmer notes renters are increasingly uncertain due to rising rents, which impact affordability. Fear of eviction prevents negotiation. 41% tried but were denied. 41% didn't ask, fearing lease loss. Over 50% worry about reporting apartment issues will lead to higher rent. Survey also found that about 75% of people who rent homes changed their minds about buying a home this year. Half of them are less likely to buy because homes are too expensive. 34% are worried about higher interest rates, and 39% can't afford the down payment. Limited affordable housing forces high payments. There are few vacant and affordable rentals. Normally, 9 to 10% vacancy creates choice and competitive prices. Scarce vacancies empower corporate landlords to charge high rents and evict tenants. The aim is to boost vacancies for tenant influence and rent control. Lucian from Moody's sees potential to curb rent hikes. Economist projects low vacancies, 5%, till 2025, worse for low income, 4.7% vacancies. Builders prioritize luxury homes due to profit, leading to fewer affordable family homes. Rising prices and material scarcity drive up construction costs. Middle-class families face a housing shortage. As far as Moody is concerned, insufficient past construction and increasing family count contribute. Generation Z and millennials' rental demand adds to the housing demand pressure. Many people are falling behind on their rent, and the number has gone up a lot since March. For example, it's 28% higher in Brooklyn than last year, when there were rules to stop evictions in some places. To show how big the problem is, over 8 million adults in the U.S. are behind on rent and could lose their homes soon. In some cities like Minneapolis, Minnesota, there are a lot more eviction cases this year compared to before the pandemic. In Richmond, Virginia, there's been an even bigger increase in eviction cases. In Austin, Texas, there are 55% more eviction cases than in 2019. Even though Austin has built a lot of new homes in the last 2 years, the number of eviction cases is much higher than before. In Connecticut, cities like Hartford and Bridgeport have seen a big increase in eviction cases since 2020. Some states have a lot of renters who can't pay rent, like New York, Nevada, and Louisiana. People who want to help say that even more families might be at risk because they're being kicked out in ways that aren't official, like changing the locks or making the rent much higher. This is hard to keep track of because it's not reported the same way everywhere. This month, a lot of families could lose their homes because they can't afford the rent, and this is making the gap between rich and poor people even bigger. Worst part of this crisis is that many Americans might lose their homes. Each number in these statistics is a real person with a family and a story. Unless we take strong action, their lives could be ruined, and this will make our society darker. So, what do you think about this situation? Are current housing policies enough? How can we support those at risk? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated on pressing issues. Thanks for watching.